breaking the wall of inequalities through grassroots innovation. Tabiso Mashaba, IDIN-SADC Consortium, Botswana.
Weeding out a problem by dealing with it from the surface is an effort in vain, but identifying the problem and dealing with it from its root cause is dealing with it amicably. Ladies and gentlemen, at these hands and at IDI in Southern Africa, we believe it's not about the 1 billion mouths that we have to feed, but the 2 billion hands that are ready to engage and make a difference in their own lives. So the grand challenge that we're addressing is that traditionally, international development has followed this top-down approach where people with great ideas, great brilliant, smarts, sit around in a room and decide solutions for people in the grassroots, particularly those staying in rural communities, in indigenous peoples' communities, and in refugee camps or humanitarian communities. And this has actually yielded more challenges for these communities as opposed to addressing these challenges. This reason being that they don't really take into cognizance the local skills of those people staying in those communities and tap into the values of those people such that those people can own their solutions and create their own pathways to development. So at these hands in IDI in Southern Africa, we have really developed this unique bottom-up co-creative design process approach, which allows these people to explore their own livelihood challenges, explore material around them, explore their own indigenous knowledge, and tap into resources that we connect them with, and come up with simple and appropriate technology solutions that address these livelihood challenges. But in further, we go on to support these solutions so that they can turn them into community businesses, which can self-employ them and self-employ those that are working within those communities with them. And to give just a simple example of some of these technologies, imagine in a community in Africa or in a refugee camp somewhere in the world, there's somebody who's growing some corn, and when they have to shell it off, they have to use their hands. Over time, it gives them blisters, and sometimes they use sticks which they put on the floor and hit it and pound it, which usually gives them economic challenges. So imagine though that within that community there's sheet metal like this one that they can recycle and repurpose, and by doing so they can basically use a simple technology like this one. We call it a jig, and a jig in design is anything that will give you uniformity in what you are designing. And then you will come up with the simple maize sheller like this one, which will help you, shell off the maize, and you are able to then proceed. But to explore the value chain further using the design process, they can actually take these maize cobs, and instead of throwing them away, they can carbonize them in the process of carbonization, and then crush them to fine powder, such that it's something like this, which they can then, through the use of the woodworking and metalworking skills that we teach them, come up with a simple tool that allows them to quickly then be able to make a simple briquette like this one, which they can dry, and then using the same briquette and the same metal, recycled piece of metal, they can then roast their maize, pound it, and package it, and mix it maybe with shepherd tree roots and sell it to the rest of the world. And people in that community start earning a living. And they designed that pathway themselves. So the co-creative design process that we introduced to them really allows them to explore these challenges by themselves. It really allows them to explore materials around them. It really allows them to then start working together to co-create solutions. We don't do anything for them. They actually do everything by themselves. We just introduce them to the design process. So how it works is that the community member will call us, say, hey, I'm interested in your design process and bringing it to my community. So we basically say to them, select 20 to 30 participants within your community, and then the participant pool is usually skewed towards 55% women and 75% youth, because we believe those are the people with the immediate need of these skills. And then post that, we have seen that it actually works. So we've actually managed to train over 2,000 people in 5 different countries in Southern Africa, Cape Town, South Africa included, Tanzania, Zambia, Botswana, and Namibia as well. We have seen how people can use this co-creative design process to create simple technologies like this wheelbarrow, which actually helps women that are staying in rough terrains to carry wood from far to their localities so that they can actually use it. We have seen that we can teach women to use power tools and hand tools so that they can actually apply themselves and apply their minds and come up with simple technologies. And the impact that we're seeing is that in a community as simple as one like in Botswana, is that the people can come up with a simple technology like that one, which helps them produce bricks. After selling the bricks and making about 1,500 euros, they're able to buy another advanced machinery, which then helps them to earn a living better. So I would encourage you all, in the words of Emil Dykam, and say the commonality of our human bond far transcends all the superficial differences. So let us engage with communities, give them the resources and the tools for them to lead their own pathways to development. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Thabiso. I think the most important question is, like, who cleans this up? Because you guys, you won't believe it, I had to already do this yesterday, so it keeps happening for some reason. But let's see, we have some questions from Tasha.
All right.
So I think it's a really great project. I had a question around, do you go back to communities and see, A, whether they're still using the solutions that they're able to come back with through your program, and B, if the way that you teach them to think in a design way leads to new projects that are created without your team being there guiding them?
Awesome. Do you want to take another? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so essentially how we do run the training, once we start the training, we do a pre-survey. Somewhere around the training, we do a mid-survey. At the end of the training, we actually do another post-training survey. But beyond what we do is also we house them in what we call rural innovation centers, or chapters. So a center is where they have a building, a chapter is where we are still exploring with their community to set up a building. And amongst themselves, they elect who becomes their chapter leader or innovation center manager. So we are constantly in touch with the innovation center manager or chapter manager to assess the project progress, because the main success that we measure is the confidence of the people to use the process and the skills that we taught them, what is woodworking and metalworking, to come up with solutions. So indeed, what we always see is that people go beyond the call of the project. So during the training, the project is just a vehicle. Post the project, now they have the skills and they explore their own challenges. So for example, in a human-wildlife conflict area in Botswana, because elephants are ravishing their fields, they decided to come up with elephant-aware products so that they can generate income out of them. So this is elephant dung paper, this is elephant dung paper crafts, and they are able to sell this and generate revenue from that. So we're constantly tracking their sales through their innovation center manager and the project team leaders, and we go to the field constantly.
And a question from Stanley.
I full of this, but the question is around, some ideas are not meant to be expanded, but at the same time, how are you looking at expanding through partnership with other people from different parts of the world? Because I think sometimes to solve this climate change problem is sometimes we have to reduce tech itself and drop it down to the basic form. So how are you looking at expansion into other different African countries, not just Southern Africa?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and thank you. And I would like to come to Nigeria. And pretty much how it works is we just basically deploy the technology, which is the process, right? So we have a process where we train trainers, so we can bring a training of trainers to a certain locality, and then they're the ones who run the training in that community by themselves. Or we could start the initial training, and then from the ones that we have trained, support them such that they become future trainers using the design process. And luckily for impact-wise and impact's sake, for the first time, Africa is about to export the process to a Western country called New Zealand, where we'll now be working with the Maori community in Tolaga Bay, and we'll be partnering with the Tolaga Bay Innovation Center there, which teach the Maori ICT skills, but now we'll be bringing the hardware skills, and there'll be a combination of sorts such that people can actually address their own livelihoods. So that's how so in fact, we have been able to train the over 2,000 grassroots innovators that we have in Botswana by coming together as a consortium. So we have Twende in Tanzania implementing in Tanzania, we have Kafue in Zambia, we have These Hands in Botswana, we have Riasa in South Africa, and then we have Ongenga Technical College in Namibia. And we are looking for those that are interested in the region to join us. And those that can help us scale would be exciting to join you too. Thank you.
Thank you, Thabiso.